Welcome back, dear students. I am Muhammad Qasim here, your English language teacher, and you are again welcome in this beautiful class at Imad Online Academy in this online class. And let's learn today about mastering narrative writing, unleashing your storytelling potential or your storytelling skills. This is a part of many English language exams like IGCSE and O level, and especially according to the latest syllabus in O level English 1123. You will have 25 marks question in your writing paper in section B, that is there for narrative writing and descriptive, so there you have a choice. We have already talked a lot about descriptive writing, so let's now move to the narrative writing. For some of the students, this task is challenging, but some of them who are interested in reading stories might find this task interesting and easy. But even those who read stories, they also need to tailor their particular skills, they improve and refine their art of writing a good story, to learn the techniques how to develop a story properly, and some special vocabulary items that they can use in writing a good story. So in this lecture, we will not only learn the techniques and tools for narrative writing, its format and things like that, but also we will let you go through the examples of different passages from different narrative writings or stories. Let's move, and in another part we will also provide you some good story starters. That was the challenging task for many of O-level English students. So what is narrative writing? Basically, you use narrative writing when you want to write a piece of text to tell a story. It might be real or imagined and can be. So narrative writing involves some characters. Obviously, when there is a story, there must be some characters. There can be one or two characters. There can be more characters as well. And then there is setting. What do we mean by setting? By setting, we mean here the time and place. So the atmosphere in which the story has been set, and the atmosphere in which the characters are doing something, their actions are portrayed, that is the setting of the story. There can be clouds, rain, storm. The setting can be a living room. It can be some female character in the kitchen cooking something for you. So it's all this is part of setting. Narrative writing is a very colorful thing, you know. It also involves a part of other writing techniques as well, like descriptive writing, when you are describing the setting of the story. So you use descriptive writing skills as well. And also when you're talking about the characters, it also involves some descriptive writing techniques as well. Then there is plot in a narrative writing. So what is plot? Plot is actually a sequence of events, how the events happen or occur eventually. So the events and gradually, the sequence of event is plot. Narrative writing focuses on engaging the reader by creating uh, the conflict in the story, suspense, tension through emotion, vivid descriptions, and tension. What are the key components of a narrative writing? Key components of a narrative writing include exposition, that is introduction of your story. So this is the part through which your story begins. Your story, the curtains are removed and the story scenes open. So in exposition or introduction, you set the scene and you introduce character and context of the story. There can be different techniques how you start your story, whether you set the scene first or introduce your character first, or you describe the context or background of the story first. So we will discuss this later on in our video on story starters. Example here is for exposition. It was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. George Orwell, 1984's book is the name of the book, and George Orwell is the writer. So this line instantly gives us a setting and a hint of an unusual world like that. There can be the other key component is rising action. It builds tension, it develops conflicts between the characters. The example, there can be inner conflict within a character itself. The world had teeth and it could bite you with them anytime it wanted. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, the book by Stephen King. So the rising action here certainly hints at danger that the protagonist will face. Another key component of the story or narrative writing is the climax. The turning point, most exciting part of the story is your climax. It's very tricky how you create a wonderful climax in the story to arouse the interest of your audience. Why did you do all this for me? He asked. I don't deserve it. I have never done anything for you. You have been my friend, replied Charlotte. That in itself is a tremendous thing. A.B. White's story, Charlotte's Web. When you will read all this story complete, you may find it on the internet. Just get it and read this story. Reading other narrative writings will also help you develop your own skills for narrative writing. So you will know the importance of this climax, like how a poignant moment that changes everything for the characters. Then there is a falling action. So this key component of a story or narrative writing is the point that resolves conflicts and it actually prepares for the ending. So it's a precedent for the ending. It's not the end, but it's something just before the end, where conflict is resolved. Here is a beautiful example from the short book like story Animal Farm. So don't miss this story. It's very interesting for all of you who level in IGCSE English students. You will find it's so interesting, and there are other key components of story you can also discover in this story well, and it will be also interesting and intriguing. The book is written by George Orwell. You can just download it, and I would recommend you to read this full story. The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again. But already it was impossible to say which was which. This falling action leaves the reader reflecting on the outcome of the story. When you will read the story, you will find it better how it resolves the conflict and it prepares for the ending. Let's move to the next component, that is conclusion. Your conclusion section wraps up the story, your final thoughts. Here is an example. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. You can again download this beautiful story, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Here in this section, in this phrase, in this expression, there is a reflective conclusion that gives readers closure while leaving a lasting impression on the mind of the readers. This is also again very tricky, that your conclusion section that must wrap up the story. There can be final thoughts, it can be reflective, like also the descriptive writing too. You can add at the ending paragraph some reflective thoughts above above mentioned all the details about recording that. How to create a vivid setting, we will discuss this part in our next video. Stay blessed. Thanks for watching. If you have any question about the key components of a narrative writing or a story, feel free to ask in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.